can't be so happy to change it that you up your life. You know how many celebrities went to Diddy's house thinking they was finna dance?
When you give up those things, but when you give up your manhood, I've never seen somebody recover from it. That was all the people that went to the puffy parties. That was all the people that did all those things thinking that there was never gonna be a consequence for what they were doing. Got punked out and pimped out by some greater desire. You shouldn't have a greater desire than being a man. So I believe that's a big problem with a lot of the actors out there.
Did you ever have the opportunity where you got invited and you said no to it?
Hell yeah.
What was the consequences when you said no?
Puffy invited me for weeks, asking me to come and teach him how to, wanted me to be his acting coach for a while. Go there and he's sitting around just looking. I'm like, okay, what's the material you want to work on? He's just looking at me. Then next thing you know, okay, hey, will you help me? I want to hear your music. So I come over there and I play the music. And he's sitting there, just looking at me, like waiting. Okay. So then my assistant was like, he wants to hang out with you next week. And I was like, for what? He's like, I think he's trying to f you. That's what my assistant said. And I was like, oh, okay. Now I get it. So now no more communication. Now you know to be hands off with somebody.
You can't be so happy to change shit that you up your life. You know how many celebrities went to Diddy's house thinking they was finna dance? How does that feel? You a grown-ass man. You gotta leave Diddy's party like that. You can't even sit down in the car. You got to drive all the way home, standing up. Whew. Can't roll the window down. You roll the window down, that breeze hit that open hole and start blowing and start saying, 1,000 bottles of baby. It ain't that much ass in the world. Everybody know that. Diddy's dumbass lawyer said you probably got it at Costco. I done said too much. Said I wasn't gonna do this. I was just gonna tell my jokes. Get the up out of here. But 1,000 bottles of baby oil? It wasn't just what they found. It's what they didn't find. It was 233 cameras in that house. In one house. But what didn't they find? It wasn't one Bible in that. Wasn't no living plants in that motherfucker. Wasn't no vitamins. And no handcuff keys.
A number of producers coming to make the approach, and you threaten to punch them in the mouth, or threaten to knock their head off for talking to you like, or looking at you like you're a woman. When you approach a real man about his masculinity, you're going to get a real reaction back. It's a difference when a guy walks in a room and when a man walks into a room. And a man don't take the same things that a guy will accept. So always be the man in the room. And that's always been my whole thing. And I've lost businesses because I don't bend over in that way. I don't compromise. I don't play gay roles. I don't kiss a man. I don't do that. Because the man card means everything.
They don't want him or me or people like us. Yeah. But now it's not necessary for us to store up that hornet's nest unless we intend to get stung 1,000,000 times. I didn't understand that. They had to sting me 1,000,000 times. Right. I'm still not going to join, but I respect it a little more.
All right. How do you handle that? Because they put your name in the press with a lot of rumors and a lot of situations that they try to put on Katt Williams. Do you feel ever the need to I gotta go defend this and put out a story about who I am, or do you just let that kind of like roll off your back when
Well,
people...
as you can see, I've let it all go for quite some time, and a lot of that is just based upon the fact that I don't really know how to complain because all of the people that I ever looked up to had to go through it too. So I know how much they talked about Martin Luther King, and I know what they end up doing to him. I know this same story about Jesus and a few of my uncles. So now I know that if your mouth is really, really big and you try to tell the truth for a living and you like to air people out, hatred is coming your way. I didn't know it was going to be this type of hatred, but you know, I'm concrete in all things because of He who strengthens me. So that doesn't mean I always make the right decisions, but I am going to stand by what I stand for. These things that I'm saying in Hollywood exist in religious circles, in politics, in the medical profession. If it's car theft and we're going to accuse you of having a carjacking ring, right? We're going to begin by bringing in people that we caught. I understand what is worth doing for ratings. I understand what is worth doing when the industry is canceling one black guy. I know what happens when they are going to elevate another. And I know what happens when they don't care about either of them. This is how quarterbacking go. So the question is, hey, your quarterback just got sacked. Did we know we was fin to sack your quarterback? We absolutely did. It was a play, buddy. We've been rehearsing it, working it out, making sure that at some point, when you get to this level, we can make sure we knock you from a $20 million man to putting in the news that people won't hire you no more and your career is done. Yeah.
So you said it was a setup.
They put the in the baby oil. You thinking you getting a massage, you can't even get up. That's why God gave me eczema. I can't even use baby oil.
What I'm saying is, in business, nothing is coincidental, or you would be hearing who's losing money. In all of these situations, it's only the artist that's losing. Somebody makes big money. When these rappers get, not incidental. Somebody made $100 million and now don't have to talk to that artist or none of their crew, don't have to validate none of their contracts. Now only got to deal with the mama, only got to see her once a year, and it's over. And the money goes up and up and up. So they this $20 million guy, but they reaped $60 million in benefits.
Wow.
And they had some people from your city do it.
Wow.
I'm saying there's the good side and the bad side of these businesses. Let's be very, very clear. It is possible that there isn't anything funnier than a guy in a dress. And if that's the case, then it might also be said that there's nothing funnier than a black guy in a dress. Okay, well, I watched all of my friends throughout my entire life be able to dunk a basketball, but not me. So everybody can't do everything. So, you know, some of us make choices. I think it's not a biggest choice for others. I'm saying at the end of the day, Kevin doesn't have to worry about what people are gonna say about him wearing a dress because of the long line of dress wearing people before him. So now we had Big Mama's house 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
I've never seen Medea in a pantsuit. I think she wears dresses. So now I'm saying, why are we picking on poor little Kevin Hart? Because it was his turn next.
Okay.
Some of us are against the Illuminati, and we are against the Illuminati at our own detriment. When people are against the Illuminati, then they get punched in the face all the time. The press hates them. Nobody likes them. End quote. They don't want him or me or people like us.
Yeah.
But now it's not necessary for us to stir up that hornet's nest unless we intend to get stung 1,000,000 times. I didn't understand that. They had to sting me 1,000,000 times.
Right.
I'm still not going to join, but I respect it a little more.
All right. How do you handle that? Because they put your name in the press with a lot of rumors and a lot of situations that they try to put on Katt Williams. Do you feel ever the need to, like, I gotta go defend this and put out a story about who I am, or do you just let that kind of like roll off your back when
Well,
people...
as you can see, I've let it all go for quite some time, and a lot of that is just based upon the fact that I don't really know how to complain because all of the people that I ever looked up to had to go through it too. So I know how much they talked about Martin Luther King, and I know what they end up doing to him. I know this same story about Jesus and a few of my uncles. So now I know that if your mouth is really, really big and you try to tell the truth for a living and you like to air people out, hatred is coming your way. I didn't know it was gonna be this type of hatred, but you know, I'm concrete in all things because of He who strengthens me. So that doesn't mean I always make the right decisions, but I am gonna stand by what I stand.
Things are handled when it's not intentional. When things go smoothly, but they seem chaotic, that means there was forethought and a plan. Somebody, even if it looks like, yeah, Janet Jackson just had a wardrobe malfunction. Yeah, there's no such thing.
Correct.
I don't care who you blaming.
I believe
blaming.
that.
Somebody
I believe that.
benefited. Somebody benefited. Yeah. So in all of these situations, there's a business involved and there's real money involved, and somebody's benefiting from this thing that looks like, oh, that just happened. Nah, no way. No way. It would be hard for a homeless guy to get into the Hollywood Bowl, let alone a homeless guy be able to rush the stage and actually.
So you're saying same for Dave Chappelle and this random homeless person. I thought the same thing. I'm like, how did he rush the stage? I've been to Hollywood Bowl. How do you rush the stage?
Look. This is the business. We're in the business where make-believe happens, where the job is to have something that costs 9 cents for us to make, and we sell it for $4.99 to you for a good deal. And it's okay that it costs us 9 cents. But in this business, the star is the commodity. These are real people, real lives. When you see things happen and you don't have all of the information, there is a business where they fiddle with the perception of the people, and that's part of the job. Back in the day, it used to be called propaganda. Now it's just called business. They don't say we got to smear the candidate, they smear them. Whoever made you is who is qualified to break you. That's the end of it. When they bought you and put you on that Fox show, it was because you were going to do this and only this. You'll never do that. As soon as you breach that, they done with you too.
Who knows what happened to Philip? Who knows what he had to do in order to get to where he was at? There's a lot of things that people do that end up sitting and they can't get over it. And they got to keep getting high, hoping to get it out of their head. But when you lose your man card, that's the only thing I can think of. You lose your damn man card.
What is that? What do you mean by that?
You give up your ability, your right to being a man. A man don't take it, a man gives it. So when you give up that man card, you don't get that back.
Are you saying what I think you're saying?
No, I'm saying what I'm saying. You don't get that back. You come into this world as a man one time. You give up that right for anything, for fear of being hurt, fear of somebody doing something, for wanting to gain something. When you give up that man card right, you lose.
I get it. So you see some guys struggling with that. You see Bieber struggling with that. You see some of these guys struggling with that.
They can't get it out of their head. They can't get it out of their head. The things that they did, no matter how they did it, whether they were drunk or high or whatever, you gave up your man card. You need therapy. And that's the thing that hurts them the most. And so they end up on drugs, end up every way to try and get rid of any principles there are. And that's what the business does. And the women that trade their bodies to go and get the role, they get to the point where they have their Oscar, they have their money, but they don't have their dream. They don't have the soul that they started with. So it's like achieving don't mean anything.
This is not just another Diddy controversy making headlines for a few days. It is a story about two men who, in very different ways, have spent years speaking about the darker side of celebrity culture. One is comedian Katt Williams, known for turning uncomfortable subjects into jokes that make people laugh and then think. The other is Terrence Howard, a respected Hollywood actor who has spoken openly about experiences that he says changed the way he looked at the entertainment business. Their stories have been debated, questioned, mocked, and discussed for years. But now, many people are looking at those old comments again and asking whether there was more behind them than they first understood. For a long time, both men were described with words like difficult, angry, unpredictable, or hard to work with. Those labels became part of the public conversation around them. But their supporters believe there may have been another reason they faced resistance. They were willing to challenge things they did not agree with. They have talked about private invitations, uncomfortable situations, powerful people, and the pressure that can exist behind closed doors. In March 2024, federal agents raided properties connected to Sean Diddy Combs in Los Angeles and Miami as part of a federal investigation. The raids immediately became a major news story. Reports discussed surveillance equipment, large numbers of legal agreements, and other items investigators were examining. One detail that received enormous attention was the reported discovery of a very large supply of baby oil and other personal care products. Diddy's lawyer later offered an explanation, saying the products had been purchased in bulk from Costco. Costco was then reported to have disputed that specific explanation. The baby oil detail quickly became one of the strangest parts of the public discussion, spreading across television, social media, podcasts, and comedy shows. Because Katt Williams had previously made jokes and comments about unusual behavior inside celebrity circles, people began connecting his older remarks to the new headlines. That does not mean every joke or old statement suddenly becomes evidence of a crime. A comedian can exaggerate, create a character, or use shock humor to make a point. A new investigation can also reveal facts that have nothing to do with an old joke. Still, the timing caused many viewers to revisit what Katt had said before. For some people, Katt Williams's comments sounded like nothing more than a wild punchline. For others, they sounded like a warning about how power can work in entertainment. Katt has often used comedy to talk about subjects that people are uncomfortable discussing directly. His style is loud, unpredictable, and sometimes deliberately extreme. That makes it easy for audiences to laugh and move on. But his supporters argue that underneath the jokes is often a serious message about power, money, control, and survival. The bigger issue is not simply one celebrity or one party. It is the possibility of a system where people with enormous influence can create environments in which others feel pressure to stay silent. When someone has fame, money, connections, and professional control, the balance of power can become unequal. In that kind of environment, saying no may carry a cost, while saying yes may open doors. That does not prove that every Hollywood event is dangerous or that every powerful person is involved in wrongdoing. It does show why questions about boundaries and consent matter. There is a popular Hollywood story that talent and hard work always lead to success. Terrence Howard's story is often discussed around the idea of refusing to compromise his personal boundaries. He has spoken about not wanting to perform certain types of roles or participate in situations that did not feel right to him. Supporters say he chose principles over convenience. Critics have questioned parts of his public statements, and some of his claims remain disputed. That difference is important. We can examine what he said without pretending that every allegation has been proven. Still, the career consequences are part of the larger conversation. Howard was once one of Hollywood's most visible actors. He earned major roles, awards attention, and international recognition. Yet he later described feeling pushed away from the center of the industry. He has talked about money disputes, career setbacks, negative press, and professional relationships that became difficult. His supporters believe some of that treatment was connected to his refusal to follow expectations behind the scenes. The pressure of Hollywood is not limited to losing one role. A person can lose momentum, meetings, opportunities, and relationships. A bad headline can change how studios view an actor. A rumor can travel faster than a correction. It is easy to laugh when Katt Williams makes an outrageous statement on stage. That is part of his appeal. He says things in a way that sounds so extreme that the audience almost has no choice but to react. Sometimes he uses exaggeration. Sometimes he uses satire. Sometimes he takes a serious subject and wraps it inside a joke. The problem comes when viewers forget that comedy can carry a message underneath the laughter. Years before the current Diddy headlines, Katt had already made comments about Hollywood culture that many people dismissed. Some viewers saw those comments as jealousy or attention-seeking. Others believed he was describing things that powerful people did not want discussed. Now, after years of controversy involving celebrities, private agreements, and allegations of misconduct, old clips are being replayed. People are asking whether the jokes were pointing toward concerns that deserved more attention. The important distinction is between a joke and evidence. Katt's words alone cannot prove what happened at a private event. They can, however, explain why certain subjects became part of public discussion. His comedy often focuses on the hidden rules of fame: who gets access, who gets protected, who gets ignored, and who gets punished for speaking. When federal agents searched Diddy's properties in 2024, the public focused heavily on the unusual details. The surveillance systems attracted attention. The reported NDAs attracted attention. The large supply of baby oil became a social media obsession. But Katt Williams's older comments caused some people to look at the situation from another angle. His point, as many fans understood it, was about the way powerful environments can make strange behavior seem normal. If everyone around you treats something as ordinary, you may stop questioning it. That is how culture can protect itself. A person enters a room believing it is simply a networking opportunity, a party, or a chance to meet influential people. Then they discover rules that were never explained before they arrived. Again, that idea should not be treated as proof of wrongdoing by every person involved. It is a broader observation about power. In any industry, people can become used to behavior that outsiders would immediately question. The more money and status involved, the harder it can be for someone at the bottom to challenge someone at the top. Katt's style often turns this idea into strategy. In many industries, people who expose corruption are expected to receive protection. In reality, whistleblowers often face pressure, criticism, or professional consequences. Entertainment can be especially complicated because reputation is part of the product. A studio may decide that an actor is difficult. A producer may stop returning calls. A comedian may be described as unstable. A journalist may be told that someone is impossible to work with. Katt Williams has experienced that kind of public labeling. Over the years, he has been called many things, and some of his behavior has created real controversy. But his supporters argue that the labels sometimes become a convenient way to avoid dealing with what he is actually saying. One of Katt's most discussed jokes involved Diddy and baby oil. He joked about the subject in a deliberately shocking way, saying that a person could be unable to get up after being covered in oil and then making a joke about having eczema. The audience laughed because the delivery was absurd. Yet when later headlines brought baby oil into the Diddy investigation, the old joke became a viral clip again. That does not transform the joke into evidence. It simply explains why the clip became so popular. The deeper concern raised by these stories is not one bottle of baby oil, one party, or one celebrity. It is the idea of repeated behavior hidden behind wealth, luxury, access, and secrecy. People who have worked around powerful entertainers sometimes describe environments where everyone understands that certain subjects should not be discussed. Some anonymous accounts have claimed that people learn quickly that silence is part of getting invited back. One alleged insider described the unwritten rule in simple terms: you are expected not to discuss what you saw in the room. Another claimed that legal agreements could appear before people fully understood what they were agreeing to. These statements are allegations from unnamed sources, so they should not be treated as established facts. But they help explain why NDAs have become such a major part of conversations about celebrity culture. Confidentiality agreements are not automatically suspicious. Businesses use them for many legitimate reasons. Actors, executives, assistants, and event workers can sign them to protect private information. The concern begins when people believe confidentiality is being used to hide misconduct rather than simply protect business information. That distinction matters because secrecy can create fear. Professionalism is supposed to be the gatekeeper in any workplace. People should be judged by their talent, behavior, and ability to do their jobs. But Hollywood has always been built around relationships. Who knows you can matter? Who recommends you can matter. Who controls the next opportunity can matter. That creates a system where people may feel pressure to stay in the good graces of powerful figures. Some former assistants, party workers, planners, and security employees have described celebrity environments as places where humiliation or uncomfortable behavior can be treated as entertainment. These accounts vary widely and should be checked individually. But the fear behind them is understandable. If a person is made to cross one boundary, they may worry that future boundaries will become easier to cross. That is why the idea of control is so important. The strongest form of control is not always physical force. Sometimes it is access. A person can be controlled by the fear of losing a job, a role, a friendship, or a career opportunity. This discussion also brings up Kevin Hart, who has often been used in online debates about Hollywood's expectations. The claim that Katt Williams was simply erased by Hollywood is stronger than the evidence allows us to say as a proven fact. His career did not disappear completely, and he continued performing, appearing in projects, and building a loyal audience. However, there is no question that he has spent years describing himself as someone who was pushed away from certain opportunities. When an entertainer refuses to follow an expected path, the industry may respond in different ways. Sometimes the person becomes more interesting to audiences. Sometimes they lose opportunities. Sometimes their own behavior creates new problems. In Katt's case, all of those things may have happened at different points. The important part is that public perception can become difficult to change. Once someone is labeled unstable or difficult, every argument can be used as another example. A calm interview may be ignored, while an angry moment becomes a headline. The internet makes that process even faster because dramatic clips spread much farther than quiet explanations. Behind the public arguments, Katt has suggested that he knows things he was not supposed to know. That is a serious claim, but it is still a claim unless supported by independent evidence. Kevin Hart was not the only celebrity whose career became part of this discussion. Hollywood has always had an inner circle, although the exact shape of that circle changes over time. People at the top have access to producers, executives, studios, major brands, and powerful networks. Everyone wants to enter that circle because it can change a career overnight. But access is not the same as proof of a secret cabal. Katt Williams has used strong language to describe what he believes is happening. He has talked about groups, alliances, and people who protect one another. Those are his views, and they have been challenged by critics. Still, the basic idea of networks protecting their own is not unique to Hollywood. It happens in politics, business, sports, and entertainment. The question is what happens when those networks become powerful enough to punish outsiders. If a person refuses to cooperate with people who control opportunities, they may find themselves with fewer calls and fewer invitations. That does not automatically mean there is an organized plot. It can also happen through ordinary business decisions, personal conflicts, or reputation. Katt's supporters believe something more deliberate happened to him. Some people accept roles, sign confidentiality agreements, attend exclusive events, and build relationships with powerful figures. They may leave those rooms with exactly what they wanted: fame, money, influence, and a bigger career. There is nothing automatically wrong with networking or making professional connections. Entertainment depends on relationships, and successful people often build those relationships over many years. But another question remains: what happens when the cost of success becomes too high? A person may reach the top and later realize that the choices they made changed them. They may become tired of protecting secrets. They may regret trusting certain people. They may discover that money cannot repair every part of their life. The public often sees the awards, cars, houses, and red carpets. It rarely sees the private stress behind them. This is why stories about powerful celebrities continue to attract so much attention. People want to know what happens behind the curtain. They want to understand how someone can look completely successful while privately struggling. The Diddy controversy has made that question even louder. The legal process will determine what can actually be proven. Public opinion, however, moves much faster than a courtroom. Terrence Howard has not simply talked about jobs. He has talked about what he believes people can lose when they spend years trying to survive inside a powerful industry. He has described the emotional cost of compromising personal values and the difficulty of finding yourself again after crossing a line you once believed you would never cross. His comments have often been connected online to other celebrities, including Justin Bieber. Bieber's public struggles over the years have been visible through interviews, performances, health breaks, and changes in his relationship with fame. But it would be irresponsible to claim that his personal difficulties prove he was forced into anything by an entertainment machine. There is no basis for turning a person's private struggles into proof of a hidden conspiracy. What can be discussed is the larger pressure placed on young stars. From a young age, celebrities can become brands. Their image is managed. Their schedules are packed. Their private lives become public content. Every mistake can become a headline. The pressure can be enormous, even when the person appears to have everything. That is why Terrence's warning resonates with some viewers. He is talking about the difference between the person and the product. When all of these stories are placed side by side, the biggest question is not whether every claim made by Katt Williams or Terrence Howard is automatically true. It is whether we have become too quick to dismiss people simply because their stories sound uncomfortable. Katt was mocked, turned into memes, and repeatedly described as crazy or difficult. Terrence Howard was often presented as complicated or hard to work with. Those labels may contain pieces of truth, but labels should never replace evidence. At the same time, we should not make the opposite mistake and treat every accusation as proven. The public deserves facts, documentation, testimony, and a fair legal process. Allegations need to be investigated. Claims need to be tested. And people who are accused deserve the right to respond. What is undeniable is that the entertainment industry has enormous power over people's lives. It can create careers, destroy reputations, and turn private moments into public entertainment. It can reward talent, but it can also be shaped by money, relationships, marketing, and influence. Maybe that is why the old interviews are suddenly receiving new attention. People are hearing familiar words with different ears. The conversation will matter most when it moves beyond rumors and reaches verified facts, clear accountability, and real consequences. Until then, viewers should stay curious without treating every viral claim as proven truth. That balance allows people to hear difficult stories, respect those who may have been harmed, and still demand evidence before reaching final conclusions. That is how responsible celebrity coverage should work today.